Hi, good day everyone. My name is Alex. Welcome to this webinar that's focused on the Ubiquiti access control products. First off, I'd just like to do a massive shout out and thank you to everyone for attending today. It's awesome to see so many people along with us for this webinar. So I am Leaders National Trainer, very much focused on the Ubiquiti products. And today I'm going to be taking you through specifically the access control side of Ubiquiti. And I'll start off by saying that I'm a massive Ubiquiti fanboy as well. So it's an awesome to see you guys here and to have you along for our webinar. So really excited to be talking about Ubiquiti. This is a fairly quick session. It's only about 30 minutes long. Questions are most welcome. Please do feel free to post them through as the session progresses. At the end, we'll quickly go through all the questions and try to answer them as best we can. So with that being said, we are going to get started. So the first thing we need to take a look at is where Ubiquiti are at the moment. And I think the best place to start with that is looking at how Ubiquiti have worked to unify a lot of the systems which have typically been disjointed. So stuff like access control, networking, fiber, VoIP, video surveillance, etc., have always been traditionally very disjointed technologies. In other words, they had to be managed separately. And it was very much a case of having to break out into each individual section's management interfaces in order to actually successfully manage those products. So what really sets Ubiquiti apart is that everything is firstly in one brand, and then secondly, the unification of all of the various management interfaces into a single console. So that's really what Ubiquiti are known for, and the unifying parts is really that you can tell it from the name. That's really what they're focusing on, and we'll see this with their access control products as well. So stuff like their point-to-point and point-to-multipoint outdoor equipment, their video surveillance, fiber, telephony, etc. It's all being combined into single interfaces. So control and management really becomes a lot easier. So all in one brand, and the best part is it's really simple to manage and there's no license fees. So with that being said, we'll take a look specifically around the unified access products and specifically the new access control systems that Ubiquiti have built. So the access control space, if you've done a lot of work in access control, you'll know that it's typically been very disjointed. It's been multiple brands. It's been hard to manage and very much stuck in traditional ways. I always say access control still feels like the 80s, typically because you had to go for specific classes on how to program access control systems. The controllers were difficult to understand. Integrating everything, the mag locks, etc., is always painful. And Ubiquiti are trying to ease that problem and make it really simple for people who aren't experienced with access control to be able to deploy access control fast and easily, and also just have the ability to get real-world proper insights into what the system is doing without having to depart the same system that is doing your networking and the rest of your control. So sticking to the ethos of making everything easy, Ubiquiti have really revolutionized the access control side of the business. And I think the industry as a whole is taking a look at them and realizing how it can be done. So the best part is if you're buying Ubiquiti access control products, it's designed to work with what you already have. So if you have existing mag locks, electric bolts, electric strikes, even existing motion sensors or push buttons, and even alarms, it's really designed to work with what you already have. So to me, the best part personally is that everything is PoE powered. So obviously your electric bolts and mag locks, etc., are still powered the traditional way. But in terms of the controller, the readers, and everything from Ubiquiti's side, it's all powered by PoE. So PoE simplifies the installation process massively. It also means you don't have to have an electrician out to actually do the deployment for you. And as we can see on the video there, it shows that you can actually connect up the electric bolts, mag locks, motion sensors, and push buttons, as well as alarms to that. So very much a departure from traditional access control systems where you had to have long cable runs, proprietary cable to try and get to each door. This is very much focused towards having a controller per one or two doors. So we'll see why that is in a second as well. So obviously the thing that Ubiquiti is most well known for is their interfaces. So they are pretty much the Apple of the IT world in terms of how quick and how easy it is to manage everything. And the interfaces are really a perfect example of that. So at a glance, you can have a lot of insight into what's happening in your business and what's happening in your access control systems. So the nice thing is, if you've ever used a Ubiquiti controller before, you'll feel right at home with the access control equipment. If you an IT person and you've worked on any of the other Ubiquiti products, you'll know this interface, or you can at least learn it in a few seconds. It's very straightforward, very slim and easy to use. So Ubiquiti's dashboards provide a quick and fairly in-depth overview of how people are moving throughout the premises. And of course, you can also use stuff like access logs. So when people are coming and going, you can also see the peak times. You can see what credentials they use to get into the building. You can also track how visitors move throughout your premises as well. It's an awesome feature to be able to see that again at a glance instead of having to look at a Excel sheet, which is how it's typically been done. You can also have control over access policies. So for example, you can set how people are allowed to enter the premises, at what times those people are allowed to enter the premises. You can set up holiday access, etc. as well. So if, for example, you want one person to be able to enter the premises in case of emergency during holiday periods, you can absolutely do that through this interface. Really simple, really easy to set up, and event recording also keeps a video log of the person as the access event occurs. So if you need it for evidentiary purposes in a while, you can obviously export that video footage to use it as evidence. So let's take a look at the actual hardware, what constitutes a Ubiquiti access control system. So the one that you guys will probably know and see, and if you've attended the Leader Expo, you will have seen this in person as well, is the access control starter kit. And essentially it's designed to give you everything you need for a door in one package. So the kit is basically a starter pack. In that, you get the Access Hub, which acts as the central interface for connecting all of the different readers, locks, etc. So it's pretty much the main interface for RS232, 485 interfaces. You can connect your traditional locks, your alarms, motion sensors, etc. to it. The next one there is the Access Reader Pro. So that is the primary access control device. Depending on what your requirements are, you can also opt for the Access Reader Lite, and there's a bit of a difference between the two of them. The Pro has a built-in camera. It's got a nice color touch screen, and I love that round design of it. It always looks super impressive. It's a touch screen as well, so if you want to use, for example, passcodes to enter the building, or PIN code, you can absolutely do that. Very impressive. The Access Reader Pro also supports NFC. So NFC can be used either with the access cards or even NFC on your mobile device. And then, of course, like I said before, you can use PIN codes to enter the building as well. The Access Reader Lite, so it's primarily used as a NFC access device. So it supports both NFC as well as near field contact. So what we can do with that is we can actually use it as a exit button by waving our hand in front of it. So it avoids the need to directly contact or touch the sensor, which is obviously good for COVID reasons, etc. So it's an awesome tool to actually quickly open up doors, or if you just have an area where there's general access, where you don't have to have a password or a PIN or something to get into that area, you can obviously use the Lite for that as well. Alternatively, you can tap via NFC on either the card or your mobile device. So the access cards are actually included as part of the starter pack, and it's ideal for people who don't have smartphones or don't want to use their smartphones. It's programmed directly from the reader as well, so that's pretty unique. Typically, if you wanted to program the cards, you'd have to buy a separate writer or reader to actually do that. So it's really unique to see that. And then the last one there is the Access Rescue Key Switch. This is not part of the starter kit, but I just want to quickly explain what it is. So it's really designed for emergencies and in case of power failure. So it's designed to unlock doors in case of emergency. So in terms of the locks, it's typically better and cheaper to just buy the mag locks and strike locks, etc. locally. Leader doesn't actually import the Ubiquiti ones, and the primary reason for that is their pricing is not very competitive in our region. That being said, you can use pretty much any mag lock or strike lock that is your preference, and I think most of you would have existing deployments in place already, removing the need to actually purchase that. So with that said, I think it's an awesome solution, especially looking at the access control, the starter pack for managing a single door or even two doors at a fairly moderate cost. So let's see what a typical deployment actually looks like. So in this scenario, we've got the UA hub controlling two doors. On the one door, it's got the UA light. It can even be the back of the other door as well, depending on how you deploy this. On the other side, you have the UA Pro, which has the nice camera built in, as well as the nice kind of touch screen as well. So typically that would be at the front of the premises or at the front of a door, and the UA light at the back of a door. Again, everything's powered via PoE, so we literally just have a cable running from our USW Mission Critical, running to the UA hub. That's just providing PoE. And from there, it's actually powering up the two readers as well as a UVC G3 Flex. And you can actually use any camera on that. It's just a general PoE output. That's awesome if you want to tie together video events to access events. So if someone walks up to the door and tries to access the premises, you can actually capture that video footage as well. In this instance, we are using a USW Mission Critical, and we'll talk about the main reason for really needing PoE backup or power backup in this deployment as well. In terms of how you can access the doors, so like I said before, you can either do it by using a mobile app. So you can use the app on your device to just unlock the door. You can use NFC on your mobile or on a card to unlock the door from there. You can unlock it via PIN. Alternatively, you can even use swipe. So you can swipe on the interface to trigger an alert, and it can actually trigger an app on the receiving person's side to tell you and alert you that someone is at the door and you need to open it for them. Really simple to set up. Again, no need to fuss with setting up external IP addresses, etc. It's all just very simple. And the nice thing to me as well is that all of these have a very small footprint. So you don't have this massive, intimidating reader at the door. It's nice and easy to just gain access to the premises. And again, powered by PoE, super easy to install. And then, of course, with the Access Reader Lite, you can just use the NFC or you can swipe your hand in front of it. So if you are looking for instructions on how to actually set up this equipment, I've linked it on screen, and yes, the webinar will be shared out to everyone afterwards. So if you want to grab this link from there later, you're more than welcome to. The setup instructions are on Ubiquiti's site as well. I think setup in general is much easier than a traditional CCTV, not CCTV access control deployment. And I think the actual, just the hub simplifies the install process considerably. So looking at the power redundancy and why it's so important, if we think about it today, pretty much everything in our business is getting powered by PoE, and it's becoming more and more of an important part in a business. So if you think about it, it's your access control systems. It is the switches that are running your normal network. It is your telephony, your PoE devices, and more stuff is really using PoE. Even your cameras today is using PoE. And it's for that reason that power backup is such an important part of it. So power outages happen, and then you don't only lose the network, you also lose your phone, security, access control, etc. So Ubiquiti Mission Critical, it's a actual switch/UPS, has been designed specifically to provide backup in case of a power outage. So obviously for access control systems, this is quite important because you want people to still be able to leave the premises if the power goes out. So for this reason, the USW Mission Critical, it uses a proprietary little connector that connects to the back of another PoE switch, or in the scenario that we had earlier, and you can even have it power other devices as well. And it's a super simple proprietary connector that just connects up to it and provides redundant power. It also does automatic power failover and power restore depending on your power state. So if the power goes out and comes back, it can actually cut back over to mains as well. So this just means that in case of power outages, you don't get stuck in a building. Obviously, you do have control over the mag locks as well. So depending on the mag lock type, you can say whether it should be always open or always closed, depending on the power state. So if it's unpowered, what the state should be. So going on from there, this isn't really part of Ubiquiti's Access product range, but I feel it is important to mention as well. It's the Ubiquiti Doorbells. So I think most people tend to think of these things as for residential use, and indeed they can be used for that. But really, these have been designed for business use. And for businesses where you don't want a full access control system, but you do want to have the ability to see and be alerted to who is at the door, this is an awesome option for it. So these include high resolution cameras with a very wide field of view. They can do motion sensing. They have night vision as well. And they even have a little entrance light. And of course, it has two-way audio as well. So if you want to actually communicate to someone at the door, you can do that. It's ideal for business use, and it doesn't require you to have a full access control system if you just want security and a ringer at the door. So to me, it's a very cool solution to actually have. And then all of this ties back into something new from Ubiquiti. So we're now starting to see a lot of focus on Ubiquiti's UUID product. So this is Ubiquiti's entry to the identity management space. Really what it's designed for is to provide a simplified identity management and employee onboarding interface, which can actually tie into your access control system as well. So if you've done a lot of employee onboarding, you know that it's a fairly painful process because there's so many various factors that you need to take into account, like how are they accessing Wi-Fi, how the MFA works, etc., and how they actually get access to the premises. So Ubiquiti's UUID products are designed specifically for that, or the UUID interface, should I say, is designed specifically for that. And what they're trying to do is, in a click of a single button, onboard a new employee. With that, you can enable their MFA, you can give them wireless access, you can give them physical access to the property, so through the Ubiquiti Access products. If you're using the Ubiquiti telephony products, then you can even create a extension for them from there. And stuff like application access, you can also set up as well. So you can say which applications this employee should have access to, and it can all be done via UUID. So it's very powerful. It's still in fairly early access. So if you want to have a look at this, you're welcome to register for it on the Ubiquiti website, and you can actually play around with it. It's extremely powerful. It makes employee onboarding really simple. So as shown, you can do one-click Wi-Fi and VPN setup. The nice thing, obviously, is that it consolidates your network and physical access as well. Again, one single interface instead of having to break out to two separate things. And then multi-factor authentication is one of the other things that's shown there as well. And UUID will actually run as an application on your mobile device as well. So if you need a bit of info in terms of what you can set up and how you would set up your solution, Ubiquiti has the resource calculator online, which does take the access products into account as well. So as shown on screen, you can set the number of doors you have, and everything here is running on a UDM SE. So this brings us to a very important note. In order to use the access products, you do need to have a UDM, specifically a UDM Pro or a UDR. As they do not function as standalone, you have to have a controller for it, and that's really what the UDMs are designed to do. So this provides you a nice and easy tool to see how much resources is going to be used depending on the number of doors, depending on the number of cameras, access points, etc. that you have. Highly, highly recommend it. And again, if you want to access this, It's very simple, ui.com/consoles, or this is available in the video recording afterwards as well. So one of the last slides here, just a quick mention on the Protect products. As we've seen in the previous screenshots, we've seen how the Access Hub allows you to connect a camera. It's important to understand that you have flexibility on what you can deploy there, so you don't just have to use a specific type of device. You can use any of the cameras shown, and really any of the cameras available from Ubiquiti, just taking note of the PoE power requirements of that device, obviously. Again, because it's all integrated to one solution, you don't have to fire up another platform to view the footage as well, which makes reviewing Access events a lot easier. In traditional systems, you would have to marry off the video footage with the Access event logs, which is a painful process and had legal implications as well. So for this, it makes it super convenient and really easy to do it. Really, that's pretty much it for the Access products. I think it's a fairly slim product range, and it's designed on that way on purpose. We are seeing some more products come out from Ubiquiti as well. That's still in early access. So Ubiquiti are investing a lot of time and money into expanding the Access products, and I'm personally very excited by the way this is heading. Again, making things super easy for everyone to deploy. So if you found any of the stuff that you've seen interesting, I highly recommend that you also check out the Leader Academy site. Apart from just the training that's available there, we also have a ton of videos and recordings that is available for you guys to review at any time. That being said, we also do present training throughout Australia. We've got a fair number of classes, and we actually have one next week as well, so I highly recommend checking it out. And then in terms of the webinar, so like today's webinar, you can see all of the webinars that are coming up for the rest of the year, and we have a ton of Ubiquiti webinars coming up as well. We'll soon be adding the webinars for next year as well, so to give you a nice little roadmap of what we're going to be talking on. And if you want to access this site, very simple, leader-academy.com.au. So it's a very short session. If you guys have any questions around this product, please do feel free to post them through